Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you haven't already, please click subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on any of my new videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a pretty disturbing family reunion. And the story of Katie and Stephen Pladl is not your typical father and daughter story. It actually contains a lot of disturbing events. This story begins in 1995 when Stephen Pladl, who's about 20 years old at this time, meets a 15-year-old girl on the internet named Alyssa Gracia. Stephen and Alyssa would meet in person and would eventually become involved with one another, and this would eventually lead to Alyssa falling pregnant. In January of 1998, Alyssa would give birth to a baby girl named Denise. And according to Alyssa, once Denise was born, Stephen actually became really abusive towards the baby. Alyssa claimed that Stephen would pinch their infant baby's body and left her black and blue, and would leave her crying in rooms and wouldn't allow Alyssa to go in to take care of her baby. Despite all of this, Alyssa did choose to stay with Stephen and would end up marrying him. However, because they were young and neither of them had steady incomes, they weren't able to financially care for Denise, and they had to make the decision to give her up for adoption when she was about 8 years old. Alyssa stated in an interview that while it was really hard to give up Denise, she really just wanted Denise to live a good life and to be happy. Denise was adopted by a couple named Anthony and Kelly Fusco and was given the new name of Katie. Denise, now known as Katie, would move into Anthony and Kelly's home in Dutchess County in New York. As for Alyssa and Stephen, in 2007, they would go on to have another baby girl. Alyssa stated that they were more grown up and ready to have children at this stage of their life, and in 2012, the family welcomed a third baby girl into their family. Fast forward to 2016, Katie's now a teenager studying at Dover High School, and she's also an aspiring artist who loves to draw comic strips. After high school, she had plans to attend a college and to pursue a degree in digital advertising. And around this time, Katie was also starting to become more interested in who her biological parents were. So she started tracking them down and would eventually find both Alyssa and Stephen on social media and would reach out to them both. And of course, both Alyssa and Stephen were very happy to hear from their daughter and were more than eager to reunite with their daughter. After she found her biological parents, she decided that she would move in with them and her biological sisters in their home in Henrico County, Virginia. But things weren't going so great between Alyssa and Stephen, and apparently they had been having a lot of problems in their relationship and were even sleeping in separate rooms months prior to Katie's arrival. Alyssa said that she often felt like she was walking on eggshells around Stephen and that their life together was very chaotic and sometimes violent. Stephen was unable to keep a steady income or a steady job and was often always in a bad mood. Everyone in the household could tell immediately when Stephen was in a bad mood. He would start yelling at Alyssa, he would start yelling at the kids, he would even start smashing things right in front of the children. Alyssa claimed that she was only still staying with Stephen because anytime she even thought about leaving him, Stephen would threaten to shoot himself if Alyssa left. After Katie had moved into the family's home, Alyssa had even told Katie that Stephen used to abuse Katie when she was a baby, but Katie either didn't believe Alyssa or just didn't care. And shortly after Katie's arrival into the family home, Stephen's behavior completely changed. He began wearing skinny jeans and form-fitting shirts and just trying to look good to try to impress his daughter. He apparently also started shaving his beard and growing his hair out long, and all of these things weren't typically things that Stephen would normally do. And what's even more disturbing is that about 6 weeks after Katie's arrival, Stephen started sleeping on the floor of Katie's bedroom. This upset Alyssa greatly, which is very understandable, and she confronted Stephen about it, but Stephen told her to mind her own business and stormed out of the house with Katie. And eventually things just got so bad and so awkward between Alyssa, Stephen, and Katie that Alyssa would end up moving out of their family home in November of 2016. However, even after Alyssa moved out, she would end up sharing custody of the children with Stephen. Alyssa did say that she had a suspicion about Stephen and Katie's relationship, but she had no idea how far it had gone. But in May of 2017, Alyssa's suspicions about Katie and Stephen's disturbing relationship would be confirmed, and Alyssa would come to discover a shocking secret. Katie Katie was now pregnant with Stephen's child. Alyssa would uncover this disturbing secret through her 11-year-old daughter's journal. In addition to finding out through this journal that Katie was pregnant with Stephen's child, Alyssa would find out from both of her younger daughters that Stephen, who is their father, had told both of the girls to refer to Katie as their stepmom and not as their sister. When Alyssa found out about all of this, she was furious. She immediately called Stephen and asked him, "Is Katie pregnant with your child?" And Stephen would reply, "I thought you knew. We're in love." And Alyssa, who at this point is just furious and shocked, she calls the police. And while the police did go to interview all of Stephen and Alyssa's children, no arrests were ever made. And after all of this, Alyssa and Stephen would go on to get a divorce. And about 2 months after their divorce was finalized, Stephen would end up marrying his daughter Katie in Parkton, Maryland in July of 2017. At this time, Katie would be about 20 years old, while Stephen would be about 42. Katie and Stephen registered, legally registered their marriage, and no one ever said anything about it because they lied on their marriage registration, saying that they were not related. But what's really disturbing is that their wedding ceremony was filled with guests that included their families. I'm talking about Stephen's parents. I'm talking about Katie's adoptive parents. Katie's adoptive parents believed that it was best that they just supported Katie with whatever she wanted to do because they didn't really think that there was anything they could do. But that's not true. They could have just said that this is kind of fucked up. But that didn't happen. So shortly after the wedding, on September 1st of 2017, Katie would give birth to her baby boy, Bennett. And happy and in love, Katie and Stephen would move into a home in Knightdale, North Carolina. However, the happy time for the newlyweds wouldn't last very long. On January 2018, Katie and Stephen would be arrested on incest charges. Both Katie and Stephen were released on bond and they were ordered to have no contact with one another. Baby Bennett, on the other hand, was given custody to Stephen's mother. After being released, Katie would move back in with her adoptive parents, Kelly and Anthony, in their family home in New York. But twice a week, she would make the trip down to Waterbury, Connecticut, where she would visit her son, who was living with his grandmother. And around this time, Katie would also call Stephen to end their relationship. This was something that Stephen did not take too well. So Stephen knew that Katie had plans to go visit their son on April 12th, and Stephen planned to drive up to New York to catch her before she would leave to go see him. On April 11th, before meeting with Katie, Stephen would drive over to his mother's house and he would go and take the baby. Stephen had told his mother that he would be bringing the baby to see Katie and that he would be back. However, Stephen would not return. Instead, he would bring the baby all the way back to his house, where he would suffocate the baby and leave his body in a closet. That same night, Stephen would drive a minivan all the way back up to Katie's adoptive parents' home, and he would park across the street and wait for Katie and her adoptive father to come out and get into their vehicle. Stephen would then follow them as they were leaving their home, and when Katie and her adoptive father, Anthony, stopped at a stop sign between Route 7 and 55, Stephen would pull up next to them, pull out a gun, and open fire into their car cabin. Prior to shooting Katie and her adoptive father, Anthony, Stephen called his mother to tell her that he had taken baby Bennett back to his home, where he had suffocated the baby and had left his body in a closet in the house. Stephen told his mother to call the police, but to not go to the house herself.
He killed his baby, and his wife broke up with him over the phone yesterday, and he told me, she's in New York, and he told me he was on his way. He called me last night and said he's on his way. He's going to bring the baby to her, and then he was coming back. And he said he killed his wife, he killed her father, and I can't even believe this is happening.
And did this happen in Knightdale?
No, his wife and father are in New York.
Okay, so the incident
he left the baby dead when he left.
Police would indeed find baby Bennett's body in Stephen's home in Nightdale. Katie and Anthony's bodies would also be found in their pickup truck not too long after the incident. A passerby did come along and did see the tragic scene and did call the police to report it. Police would also find Stephen's body slumped over the driving wheel of his minivan, which was parked over the state border in Dover, New York. And Stephen's cause of death was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Katie, baby Bennett, and Anthony were laid to rest on April 21st at St. Charles Borromeo Church in Dover Plains, New York. And that, my friends, brings the story to a close. And I've just got to say it, that story was just really disturbing and pretty fucked up. But I would be very interested to hear what you guys thought of that story and if you had any other thoughts. And of course, if there are any other case recommendations you would like me to cover, please let me know. I'm always open to other case recommendations. Oh, and I almost forgot again. If you liked this video, please don't forget to click a like and to subscribe to my channel. It really does go a long way into helping my channel grow and it'll be super appreciated. Alright guys, I'll catch you all later and have a great week. Bye!